Hey there everybody, Parks Owsley with Upcomer here, and I'm joined by the top laner for Team Liquid. It's Bwipo. Welcome to NA, welcome to the LCS, welcome to the stage for the first time.
Yeah,
this was your first stage match, right?
That is correct. I mean, I've played on this stage before, but this
true.
is the first LCS match I've played on the stage. Yes.
There we go. How was it? How did it feel?
Fantastic.
Yeah?
I loved it, every second.
There we go. You can't ask for more than that.
Absolutely.
And you got the win. I mean, I guess you could ask for more, but the win was the more, so.
Basically, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess you could have gotten player of the game. I think you stopping that last Karthus ult, it could have deserved a player of the game, but.
I think the body slam flash after that was the better play.
That was actually.
That was the better play.
That was nasty.
Because I didn't have my ult, but I still had the confidence to go. Like, I think that's important.
So I walked out there. That was the first game that I watched in the studio. And usually, in years past, the crowd is here. They've got the noise on. Like, you can't hear anything other than the game.
Okay.
But when I walked out, all I could hear was like U-Shot calling, like Bjergsen calling out timers. Like, you know, I go over to the Cloud9 side. I see them like, okay, we're gonna try and TP here. And so I'm like seeing this like 4D chess, and I just hear you go, look at me, and I was like, what's he doing? And I look up and the screen had the vision toggled, so I couldn't look at you.
Right.
And then I just see this, you know, oh, here he is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, but it's like when you're down to the wire in a game like that, like all you need to like when you're engaging, you don't need to complicate. Like I'm gonna body slam. No, just look at my champion. Just look at my champion and just react to what you see on your screen, and it will be good. Trust me. Like that's it. You know, like trust me. Look at me. Like anything like this, just gather attention to your champ and just fucking go. That's the way to go when you're playing an engaged champ. It's the only communication you need. You don't need to complicate things. Obviously, like discussing how you want to play beforehand is important, but in the moment, just
look at me.
Just look at me.
Yeah. I will. That's not good advice for people in my elo, I will say, because usually the look at me is like, oh, you miss your Akali E, and then
you miss your skills. It's pretty unlucky.
It's like, oh, well, now
you have to hit your skills. I mean, if you're shouting, look at me, and you miss all your skills, like comedic effect, right? There's that still.
Yeah. Anyway, it was incredible. It was a really fun game. I want to talk about you coming over to the LCS. You were on Fnatic for most of your current fans, probably the majority or all of your career, because you know people watch the LEC, they watch the EULCS.
For sure.
Now you're on Team Liquid. What has it been like making such a big move? Not only a new team, new coaches, new infrastructure, whatever, but also coming over to a new region.
It's been fantastic. Life is great. You know, I'm very happy. You know, very grateful for the situation I'm in. Very grateful for the people that surround me, and I'm very happy.
I mean, that's good to hear too.
I'm just happy. You know, life is good. I feel like I can perform my best. I feel like no matter what problems arise, I will find solutions that feel good for everyone involved. And you know, what else can you ask from life, really? You know, like you're in a place that you like. You know, you're happy with people around you. You're happy with your job. You know, you're just happy.
Yeah.
I'm just having a good time.
That's good to hear. I think you've spoken some about this before. You also changed from jungle back to top.
That is true.
Obviously, you're a top laner. But going into the off season, when you were kind of looking at options and looking at, you know, what is your next step going to be, how much were you considering kind of trying to stay as a jungler and exploring that kind of route?
I didn't mind. I literally said in the off season, look, I'll play whatever role that's not support, and if whoever wants to sign me, then feel free.
Why not support?
I don't think I have great insight on this role. Even though I would love to have it, I just don't. You know, I don't have the, like, I don't think I wouldn't be able to learn it, but I feel like I'm much further ahead on all the other roles in terms of understanding of what my job is supposed to be, you know, how many resources I'm supposed to, like, how much attention I'm supposed to ask for, how much, et cetera, et cetera. Like, just the whole game understanding, my understanding of support is far lower than any other role. And that's obviously because I have a lot of experience with Hilly, where he's a support player that does way more than the average support player, right? Like, he does much more. Therefore, I will measure myself against him. Just like in every single team I've been in, I will measure myself up against the best performers, right? Okay. That's how it is. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to call names because it's rude, but like obviously there are some players that have been on my team that I've considered better than others, right? I've been very blessed with my teammates. Don't misunderstand. I think all of my years I've always had fantastic players surrounding me. So by all means, I have a very, I have pick up the litter, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, support is the one role where I don't see myself playing as well as Hilly in a short amount of time. Right? I could see myself reaching levels that Caps have reached. Perhaps it would take longer. Nemesis, Niski, whoever I played with, right? I can see myself reaching those heights as a mid laner if I put in a lot of effort and work. Same with AD carry, same with jungle, which I hopefully proved in my split playing jungle. But that's my mindset, right? That's always been it. And then as a top laner, I try to achieve and aim higher highs at all times. So that's just my mindset. If I watch this player play, like, can I be as good as that guy in a short amount of time? Or like one split is what I consider a short amount of time. Like by the end of the split, are you that level? And support is the one role where I don't feel like I would be able to reach that.
Okay, that's very fair. It means that you know a lot about yourself, which is
again, in mid lane, don't get me wrong. I don't think I'm going to play one split and be better than Caps, Nemesis, etc. But I would be a very serviceable mid laner that is considered top 3, top 2 in the region and can be very good. They've obviously had their high highs, which is what people will remember when I mention I'm going to be as good as them. Which is like fair. That's great. I'm happy that they have had high highs and people remember them by those high highs in this context. But you have to be honest. Like the consistency and the average is what defines a professional player in League of Legends. You play thousands of games. You're not measured by that one game you popped off and, you hope you go on stage and you get that one pop-off game out of 1,000. Not the case. You're expected to pop off 8 out of 10 games, right? Or have a great game 8 out of 10, and then if 2 of those games are not so great, that's okay. And even then, it'd still be measured by how bad, right? Yeah. Consistency is the name of the game when it comes to professional sports. Any sport, any esport. Consistency is the name of the game, and by that measurement, that level of consistency might not be as good, but I can reach that sphere of consistency, let's put it that way, that some of the best players on my team have reached on every other role but support. That's what I think.
All right. And now you have Core JJ and Ayla,
both
who is
fantastic players.
Well.
They're both fantastic players.
I don't think playing with Core is going to give you any more confidence in your own support.
This is true.
So you were talking a lot about consistency. I want to kind of challenge you on that a little. Let's go back to lock-in. Okay. You guys won. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
You were playing all sorts of stuff. You were playing Hullbreaker, which no one else was buying at the time. Now a bunch of people are buying it.
It's a pretty good item.
You were playing the opposite champion in a matchup that this one is supposed to lose, but Bwipo is just gonna win it, I guess. And
is that Graves?
Now everyone, it was like the Graves Gwyn thing.
Oh, yeah.
It was like the main one that people were calling out.
Yeah.
And so you were doing all the stuff that, I wouldn't say it was consistent because.
Well, it's not consistent with everyone else.
Yeah, because we haven't seen it. But then it also wasn't consistent in he plays only this, or he plays only that, or he's only going to team fight, or he's only.
Sure,
so you're also very versatile.
Sure, but I think being reliable in your versatility is a sign of consistency.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Right. I know what you mean. I know what you mean with what you're trying to say. It's not consistent with everyone else, and it's not consistent with what other people's standards might be. Sure, yeah. But for me, consistency really is when you step on the roof. Are you going to have a positive or negative impact on winning the game? That is consistency. If the answer is yes or no, depends. You can be consistently not having a good impact. I have that too on some champions. I consistently don't do well, right? And it's important to recognize that. But at the same time, there's a lot of champions where I consistently do well, and finding that pattern is very important as a player, as well as that's what the coaching staff is for, right? Yeah. Is identifying look, we play this matchup, you're getting shit on all the time. Please, let's just find a different solution, right? The other way around, if this guy blinds his champ, I know you're gonna pick this and you're gonna destroy him, so just play the game. It's gonna be okay, and it's finding that, it's finding that consistency, what works for you, and what works for me is a lot of stuff. It's
True.
Mixing it up, surprising people with different styles of play, surprising people with, different. It's even though I play the same champion, I change up the build, I change up the play style. Another great player, I think that people can relate to in this sense is Chovy, right? He played the Tryndamere with Grasp, Hullbreaker, and almost terrorized the game off T1. That's the only game I saw, so I'm just saying he plays Dematerializer Corki with Longsword into Victor, and wins the matchup, where everyone else was like, what? Like, this matchup is really hard for Corki, or like, at least it's Victor favored. And this type of, adjusting your runes, adjusting your style, adjusting the small details in order to achieve things that people otherwise don't assume is doable is the way to go. It really gives you the edge if you can blind pick Corki and the go-to answer is not that good. Same, like the go-to top laner is Gwen and I can play Graves into it. It's fantastic, right? Like if I end up winning in that matchup, that's a huge deal for our draft. And it's just recognizing that and specializing in these niche situations that sometimes don't stay niche. Like I've seen a lot of Eclipse Graves. I think people got inspired a little bit, which is good. It's the correct way, I think, to build him, in the idea that, like, if you want to have the most impact, the most damage output, you do need to build these items. Doesn't mean it's always the correct build.
Yeah,
it's situational based on the game, and that's what people need to understand.
I think that's very welcome advice, for people watching. Can you also explain Hullbreaker then, just like very briefly, the same way that you kind of did that?
Sometimes your job is just to be stable in your lane, right? And even though you can see Hullbreaker as a very aggressive item that's supposed to like win the game for your team by split pushing, you can also see it like when I build Hullbreaker and I sit in my lane, you can't really stop me from pushing. This is what people are doing on Graves right now, where they're rushing Hullbreaker on him and they're literally just pushing the wave. They're not even hitting the tower, really. Like, they're not even pressuring much, like obviously a little bit they're pushing and harassing the opponent's, like the opposing laner, but they don't have enough damage to actually like kill him or do anything crazy. They just push the wave, and all they're saying is better bot wins. Like they're saying, my job is just to keep this guy chained in his lane. If he leaves, I'm taking 1 or 2 towers straight up. If he doesn't leave, my team is happy because we're playing 4v4. So I think it's an interesting way of playing. Obviously, you have some matchups where you can play Hullbreaker to push for advantages. It's about recognizing which is which and what item is best. Sometimes, building Eclipse still is the better play, just scaling and making sure you have the greediest item build in order to get the most value later. That is sometimes the best answer. Sometimes it's not. It really is dependent on the game and dependent on the situation, and recognizing that as a player is really important. It's the same with runes, right? Like, for example, today I took conditioning and overgrowth in my secondary runes. Just because I was like, I know this game, nothing will happen. If I go down 20 CS, it doesn't matter. My matchup is still really good, and I will scale well, and Aatrox will have a hard time against our champions. I'm locking in conditioning overgrowth, and I'll see you in the late game. I'll see you in the late game.
Yeah. I love that. I want to talk 2 more things. I know that we're kind of running out of time.
No problem.
First, what does it mean for you to be in the LCS, to be in North America, to be on Team Liquid after 4 years on Fnatic?
It's a pretty big deal. I'm taking it very seriously. I'm taking life, everything, taking everything very seriously, my responsibility, my habits. I'm trying to, change myself as a person, build the right habits, just be a better person in general, better player, better person. I really am taking it as a second chance, because obviously I just closed a huge chapter in my life, and I feel like I went from living with my mom, going to Fnatic, 4 years in Fnatic. I didn't really grow as a person. I stayed the same. Obviously I grew as a player, but like most of the growth that came for me as a person came at the cost of someone very dear to me, and I regret that a lot, and I wasn't happy with who I was. So I'm coming here as a fresh person, just have a lot of goals in mind.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things that I want to do. I have a very specific image of who I want to be, both as a player and as a person, and doing everything I can to reach that goal is what's on my mind. I really want to be. I want to get there.
Yeah.
I want to get there, and then I want to grow as a person from my own experiences, my own growth, my own everything. I just want to be my own person. Not tied to a brand, not tied to a team. Just be me.
I like that a lot. I think that's very commendable. Best of luck, because it's also a lot harder, I think, than growing as a top laner, growing as a player.
Sure.
But yeah, best of luck.
Thank you.
It makes my last question seem rather insignificant, but it was mostly just kind of about the other side of things, which is, you came into lock-in, you were doing all of this wild stuff that no one predicted. You were building Hullbreaker, you were picking the wrong matchup. You're coming in here, you're having this incredible engage at the end of the game. And people have just been loving having you in the LCS.
That makes me happy. It's nice to be appreciated,
Yeah.
For me, like, my mindset right now is very, very simple. I'm going to, keep my head low. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I will take every game by the game. Like, for example, even today, I'm like, okay, I'm playing Gragas Aatrox. I'm going to have a hard time in the game. I'm not sure how to, I didn't see angles to really, have a huge impact on the game, but I trusted myself to wait for good opportunities and trusted my team to follow up when I saw one. And I had an inclination that if I just go on the Aatrox, it would be the best thing to do. So the majority of the game, I was just going on him and initiating the fight going on him because I felt like that was the best thing to do. Who knows? Maybe next time I throw an Aatrox into my team, he gets a pentakill. Yeah, wouldn't be the first time it happens, but in this particular game, I felt like this was the best course of action, and it paid off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That doesn't mean the next time we don't get pentakill.
Hey, we'll see.
That's the thing. I want to take responsibility for how I play, and I want to take as much of the learnings as possible, and then all the praise and whatnot, I will take in moderation. I will not let it get ahead of myself because I know I've done that in the past, and that is not good.
Uh-huh.
And I get cocky. Hey, listen, I always said, don't get cocky, kid, and I always did. I always got cocky. So I will actually take from my experience in Fnatic and not get cocky this time around.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the honesty. I appreciate it. And congrats on the pretty good start, 2-1. Could be 3-0, but it's a good start.
I mean,
it's only a start.
2-1 is good. 3-1 would be great. Like, I would be very happy with the 3-1 start. It's better than what me and Fnatic, like, we always started like 0-3, 0-4. Like, it was always rough in the first few weeks. Glad to see that the boys are doing better over in Fnatic now with this split, but still, a 3-1 would be a very successful, in my eyes at least, a very successful start to the LCS. Losing to the reigning champs is no shame. Mm-hmm. Losing a game in a competition is no shame, as long as you can say with confidence that you played your best and you tried your best and you played with what you had. And I think I can say with confidence in all games we played our best and tried to find angles even though they were difficult to find sometimes.
Yeah. And you have a nice shiny lock-in trophy as well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually.
Which is pretty cool. Well, thank you again so much. Best of luck in your game tomorrow. For all of you watching, thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, check out the other content, and we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye.